Hello, we are back to another episode of the Seventh Voice Podcast. I'm your host, Aziz Adesanya, and I know we had a great year last year. We ended 2024 in a very high note, but we are starting 2025 in another bigger way. So I have, I would say, one of the biggest guests I've ever had on the podcast today. Is someone that I've looked up to for many years. I've learned from him from afar. He's one of the most respected business leaders in Africa. He's the world most influential investment coach from African descent. He's the chairman of GETX Holding, a multimillion-dollar company that is based in the US, UK, Dubai, and of course Nigeria. Maybe we're going to have one of his offices here in Canada as well very soon. He's an author. He's a philanthropist. All these qualities have even helped him to win a lot of awards, a lot of accolades. One of them is he won the 2023 Forbes Best African Leading Investment Coach in 2023. And I have one of the biggest business person in Africa here with me today. Thank you, Dr. Stephen Akintayo.
Thank you for having me. It's good to be here.
Thank you. I always tell my guests, I can do all this big introduction, introduce them, what they've done, but honestly, I always want to throw it back to them because they are the best person to describe who they are and tell my audience who we have in the studios today. Who is Dr. Stephen Akintayo?
Good question. I will say I'm a serial entrepreneur. I'm an author, and I love adventures. So I mean, despite the cold, when they told me Niagara Falls is 1 hour from here, I said, let's go there.
Okay.
Right? I love adventure.
Yes.
I'm a husband of 1 wife and 3 children.
I like that specification because I know where we come from.
Yes.
You're free to marry more than
have
one.
us, but then but I'm okay with one.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm good with one. So that's pretty much where.
Okay. I know that's a very quick summary of who you are. We all know here in the studio that I think you're more than what you just described. I understand. And from what I've heard from you, directly from you, from people that have met you, that have known you, some of the, podcasts you've been on, you've always talked about how you started. How, people know Dr. Stephen Akintayo here today. They know the story. Oh, is the real estate mogul, is the business. But I know I have the opportunity of being able to speak with a lot of business leaders.
Yeah.
Both on this podcast, both on a lot of occasions, and they always have a beginning.
Yeah.
They just don't start. I would say probably 10% of the people that I know they are in the right place today. They don't start from
The top.
How did it start from you? I've heard the story of, from $10 to what you have as one of the biggest, $1 million companies today in both Nigeria and other 3 countries as well. I want you to take us back to that journey. How did it all started for you?
Good question. So, entrepreneurship for me started as a teenager. Way back 20-something years ago. I was I was born from a very humble background. My mother was a civil servant. My father's business had collapsed before I was born.
Oh my.
So I grew up, knowing poverty. In fact, we used to change houses virtually every year because we are not able to renew paying the rent. And so in most cases, my parents would then move to another outskirt where we can get a cheaper property to rent. And so it affected my academics because I was just constantly
you have to
changing
continue to
school.
move, right?
Yeah. And but as a teenager, I got more worried about why do we need to go through all of this, even to go to school, secondary school. Then my mother would take me to neighbor to borrow money to pay my tuition, take me to neighbor who sell groceries to say, okay, to get groceries in credit, I went to boarding house, so you need, beverage and all of that. It will still be in credit. So, and that got me like, something must be wrong. Is this the way life, is this supposed to be normal? And when will this circle end? Yeah, so I was then lucky at some point in my quest to get a book called Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Oh, okay.
by
Robert
Kiyosaki.
Kiyosaki, yeah.
And that changed my worldview, because when I used to ask my mom, why are we here? Her excuse was, it was because she didn't have a university degree. And she would give me an example of her juniors who became a senior at work.
Okay,
Because they had a degree. And so our story is that you just get a degree. You get a good
your
job
life will be great.
and you'll be fine. So here was I then really rich dad poor dad, and he's saying no,
don't go to school.
that degree wouldn't solve that problem. I'm like, okay, so who do I believe now? Rich dad poor dad?
My mom or this man that I don't
this
even know.
man.
Yeah.
But God had a unique way, because one of my who you can call my mentor taught me in secondary school. By the time I entered university, I had opportunity to then visit him. We were in Kwara State then, but he had moved to Lagos. I was now in Agoe in Ogun State for my university. And I remember visiting him, meeting him in a one-room apartment with 8 of his siblings. And he had one of the best results from his department in Unilore.
Oh my God.
So that became more real. If I was doubting Robert Kiyosaki, seeing that,
You're like, this
because this is if I would call him genius, it was, and I knew I couldn't even educationally, I can't get that kind of.
You can't get that kind of result, right?
Kind of result he got. So if he was still struggling, it was like, hey, what's going on? I said, well, there's no job. I said, So I remember going back to Agori that day, and it's a campus, and I said to myself in the bus, when I graduate, if there's no job, I'll create one.
Okay.
Because I don't want to be in one room with my siblings. I can't repeat. At that point, it's not a generational course. I'm not going to do that. So I went back to school, trying all manner of business I could do, from selling popcorn to hawking electronics during holiday on campus to selling all manner. In fact, I tell people I've done almost 20 businesses that didn't work. You may never hear of. Right, so I just kept trying, but because what was chasing me was bigger than what the obstacle. I didn't care what anybody would say. I didn't care the stories. I just knew if there's any legal way to make money, I'm going to follow that path and I'm going to break through. And we thank God that we've started small today.
You've started or you've started a long time.
We started. Because what God has shown me is way bigger than where we are.
I like the way, I like what you said about the legal way, because globally a lot of people want to make the money in any ways, and at the end of the day it's not legal.
Exactly.
You understand? So
I
like that you added that. So you're not just the kind of person that you were born into wealth.
No.
You kind of, I don't want to use the word hustle, but that's actually what it is to get to where you are.
The word hustle. Hustle is good. I tell people hustle is good, right? And I think these are some of the things we need to change in Africa.
Okay.
Particularly with there's a cultural tone to it. I mean, you and I are from the same, ethnic group in Nigeria, and we have those stories of Olomaja Allah and Nila Allah. All those. They just put certain negativity to work, to hustle,
to hard work, to hustle,
and there's nothing wrong with it. And we must preach that in this day and age. It is good to hustle. There's a Hebrew proverb that said, it is good for a young man to carry his yoke in the days of his youth. Right? It is good. And I tell young people, carry your yoke now.
Do it now.
Do it now. Because it's not when you are 70. It's that you are
even when you're 50, you start to feel like you're tired already.
Pressure, there are certain bills, there are certain... No. Carry the yoke now. Do whatever you have to do early. That is legit. And I realized that if it's called the 10,000 hour rule.
Okay.
Give anything 10,000 hours. Give it. I promise you will rise to the top 10%.
And I completely agree with you.
10,000 hours is equivalent, depending on how many hours you put a day. If you put 8 hours a day, that's about 10 years. You give or take. Right? And that's why. So you can shorten it to be less than 10 years.
10 years, yeah.
But there is the minimum required period that you keep hitting that door. hitting that
before it opened.
before it opened.
I completely agree with you. And I want to go back to you, how you were able to kind of expand your business.
Yeah.
Because you and I came from one of the, what we could have called the biggest economic nation in Africa. But in the reality, we are not actually what we will call that. So
Yeah.
a lot of business owners that started in Nigeria, it's challenging for them to scale, to bring, you could start, you could have the passion, the energy, I want to have a business, but there are some obstacles. So I'm going to put the question in two ways. How you are able to kind of scale the business in Nigeria, and when you decided, you know what, we want to go global, you went to the US and maybe UK first, I think. How are you able to move your business to the UK, UAE, US? What are the challenges you face, both building in Nigeria and then expanding to those nations?
Good question. So yeah, first, a lot of people don't know that the first set of companies I opened were in UK and US, but they were more of consulting, public speaking, and it was like me testing the waters. And then gradually also Dubai. We go to Dubai, do seminars, do meetings. In fact, at some point, my US and Dubai seminars, I will have to do 3 sessions a day because of the crowd of people that wanted to come to learn. And that was what started showing me that there was a market and that my message resonates. And so at some point, of course, moving to Dubai, I will say, was very critical because same way moving to US now is critical. Somehow a prophet is not honored in his home.
I know,
Right.
and it's not even only in his own place.
Yeah.
Even sometimes a prophet is not honored by his own people.
That's the point. That's what we're saying. That's the meaning. Is that a prophet is not honored in his own home by his own people. Right? Because the people to honor is see the people, right? Even when you're home.
Yeah.
And I realized that sometimes you do things internationally and people respect you internationally. Before the people at home and say, well, maybe it looks as if there's something to this guy. I remember one of the property I bought in the US, and then the day I was to get the key, the landlord who sold it was saying, wow. I mean, as they saw me, just like, you famous. You have a Forbes page. You have a profile of Forbes. And he just kept, I was looking at it, I said, in Africa, nobody makes me feel like this. This was a white dude just so excited to see me. Let's take a picture. Oh, you're successful. I'm like, okay. So internationally, I realized that, and it's a lesson for a lot of us, that you would think it's difficult. And that's why I encourage more people from African descent, do business when you go out of Africa. Do it. It's not going to be easy, but do it. But you may be shocked that it's not as hard as it initially will look. Yes, it will scare you. People also warn you. People, I mean, there will be a lot of be careful,
you make the money to feed family. Exactly. You need to pay bills.
You need to pay bills. America will humble you. Canada will humble you. They will give you all those stuff. And I'm not saying it won't happen. But if you're dogged enough, you will then realize that the success. One of my friends, I've known him way back before he moved to Canada here, is the counselor.
I think I know him.
Of Kitchener.
Kitchener, yeah, in one of the locations in
right.
Kitchener, yes.
And when he was in my office in Ikoyi last week, 2 months ago, when he visited Nigeria, and I just said, so who voted for you? Because where you are seems to be there are not too many Africans there.
Yeah.
And he said it was the locals, it was the Indians. I just sold myself to them and they loved it. And they came out and they voted. Now, imagine how many Africans will have dared what he did. We would just say, no, where I live is white people that are there. There must be racism in his mind.
God.
I don't think they will give me a chance. Just all playing in your mind. All in your mind. Where I live in the US today, I'm the only black person there. And you will not believe how they treat us. You will not believe it. It's like, Prince from Africa,
Like they coming to America.
In
English language.
Exactly. You say, oh, we hear you doing well in Dubai. We hear your businesses, you are in Africa. Tell us more. And, but somebody else will not even dare such. Me, the only black person.
Listen, and I don't feel live here.
People of, what if something? And so we need to really change our mind. But hustle is good. Let's go hustle. I love hustle.
I really want to touch on something you said regarding. I think you mentioned it twice now. People you're not respected where you come from or the people you're from, and you mentioned your friend that is a counselor in Kitchener. And I want to compare that story with mine as well. I have a real estate business. I have this podcast. As I said, we are one of my friend partner. We want to start a business over there as well in Dubai. And when I look back at 100% of people I speak to every month about investing and everything, 70% of them are black, Nigerians majorly. But you'd be surprised that 70% of my business come from non-Nigerians.
You see?
70.
You see?
Now, if you now look at it, you start asking questions. What are we doing wrong? And when I help, other national, and I'm not trying to bash my own people. When I help other nationalities, the way they give you response and review you and send you review, you start feeling like, wait, that means what I'm doing is good. It's just that this set of people just appreciate more.
I think, again, I see cultural and religious element to it. And that's why I am advocating a lot of our religious leaders need to work on adjusting their messaging, both with Christians and imams back at home. There's a need to adjust the message. We need to tell people it's okay to take risk. Why are most people from our culture not wanting to invest in real estate? Is either they tell you, oh, but I'm not yet a Canadian.
Or they will scam you.
Or I will be scammed.
Or the price will go down. Instead of them to understand what is the future.
And what gets me more upset is that it's the people who don't even have what to scam. Who tells you about being afraid of scam?
I agree with you. I talk to them every day.
It's the people who don't. I mean, you just, so how much is this money? I get experiences where when sometimes my staff will say, we had an angry customer call the office.
And said you want to scour?
No, not even that. It's even an existing customer. They say, your boss is traveling all over the world, now has multimillion-dollar house in America. Is that our money? And then I'm like, so wait, how much was the transaction you did with our company that afforded a multimillion-dollar house? But it's just the mindset. It's the mindset. And so we need people of influence to begin to help, because that is affecting those at the lower ebb of things than even those at the top.
Yeah, I agree.
Because those at the top, just like you're saying, one way or the other, if people from their culture don't patronize them, people from other cultures will patronize them and treat them with dignity and decency.
Yes.
Right? It's only in Africa that you see somebody feel because they did business with you, they own you, or they can talk to you anyhow. They can be rude to you in conversations. Now, and they won't do the same thing with people who are of different color.
Yes.
Even when they feel cheated, even when they feel something. So, but we need to speak up. I think I'm happy we're talking about on platforms like this, that until we start treating each other with dignity, until we respect that every business is a risk, but it is also risky not to take a risk. And it is okay to lose money because you are a thousandaire because you've lost thousands. You're a millionaire because you've lost millions. You're a billionaire because you've lost billions. Well, you're a zeronaire because you've lost zero.
I think that's I like the way you kind of explain that analogy. And now that you're even mentioning the wealthy class, millionaires, billionaires, I've always wondered, like, apart from you being financially successful with your business now, a majority of your network is, in the class of the millionaires in dollars or billionaires. And I've always wondered that what make those people do? What do they do that puts them in the top 1% of the wealth in the whole world? What do you think? Because you've had conversation or been in network of a lot of these people, both in Nigeria, both in US or other countries as well. What do you notice that they do that make them look different from regular people that put them in that top 1%?
Audacity. They're just audacious. Just do it.
Just do it. No, not really scared of the risk.
They are not afraid to fail. You see, I tell people you've overcome poverty if you do these two things. Number one, overcome the fear of what people think. You've overcome poverty the day you care less
about
other people's opinion.
Okay.
Number two, you overcome poverty by 50% the day you are not scared of failing.
Those two things are very important.
We fail and we move on.
And we'll start again.
That we fail and so what? Every great person failed. So the shame is on you. Because before you even are done joking that I fail, I've won in another thing. How about that? While you are sitting down there doing nothing and then mocking somebody who failed at something. Yeah. So we again, we must start telling people it's okay to fail. It's okay. Failure is not the opposite of success. Failure is on the pathway to success. It's not the opposite. It's not. It's just what is required to succeed. You must fail to succeed. Anyone who is successful today, billionaire, millionaire, they've lost money, they failed. Well, America now has a convicted fellow as the president. He didn't care.
He just continued.
He knew they were after him, and he had two choices. Either he convinced himself there's no point trying to be president, they are coming after me anyway, I'm going to go to jail anyway. The alternative is to hell with that. I'm going to go for it. What if I win? Even if they now convict me, I will pardon myself. Abi?
Yes.
And also convict others too. Yes. So that we are now colleagues. They can also see how corrupt all these people who are pointing fingers at me. But that audacity, sir, how many black people have it? That Donald Trump kind of audacity.
A few.
Only
a few people have that.
Also, how many black people will have supported another black person the way white people supported Donald Trump?
I agree with that.
How many black people will not have concluded and say, well, the justice system said he's guilty, FBI said he's guilty, everybody said he's guilty, there were women who came out to testify, to hell.
To her, then he's guilty. Doctor, you said something now that I think you also mentioned in one of the Zoom call, video call that we had like a few days ago.
Yeah.
The negative news sells more. I mean, it sells more globally, but it's kind of sell even more within our community. You understand? This black person, they've pointed finger to him.
Yeah.
Oh, they're going to deport him from the UK.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's a scammer. But dude, do you think it's really easy to build a business?
We don't even think this is true. We don't even think it true. Like, you even hear people say there's no smoke without fire. There's been many smoke without fire.
Without no fire, with nothing.
Many. So, again, I will say, to be fair to us again, is the colonial mentality that has been passed on to our forefathers. Let's be honest. If you read about slavery, you understand what's going on. The way they taught our forefathers who were taken as slaves was such that, look, the only way to get promotion, right, is to pull down another slave.
That's true.
Right?
Pull down another
slave. It's been the way. I mean, if you watch a lot of those slave trade movies, the only way you will now rank higher, pull down the other slave. Yeah. That's why they do a lot of boxing matches, so two slaves fight each other. When you watch also Gladiator, that's the concept.
Exactly.
Right? Once the only slave that will go free is the one that has killed the other. So most Africans, it's passed on mentally that you need to pull somebody down. That the only reason you are at the bottom is because somebody is at the top. The person at the top took your own.
Then you need to bring them down.
So you need to bring them down. If you don't bring them down, you won't get to the top. It's the lie. It's a lie. The white man told the blacks. And you will now ask yourself this honest question. Since all these many white people have been topping the chart of the richest people in the world, why didn't they need to bring each other down
to reach there?
for more people to climb?
Why did they collaborate and work together to
Bill Gates did not need to bankrupt him before Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos became richer. He was still rich. In fact, the money didn't reduce, just that they overtook him by having way more. That's all. But so why do we have to convince ourselves that no, pull the person down? Like you said, pull him down. How do you think somebody will have a movement? I mean, we saw what happened with Martin Luther King. And we don't read as well. Martin Luther King had a massive movement. They sent FBI to be spying on the guy. Right? Till they even discover he had an affair. Till they discover. But and I say, what did those generations have? And are you aware, I don't know how true it is, that it was still a black man that killed Martin Luther King?
I mean, I from what I heard, it is a black man.
That's it, black man.
Yeah. Even Malcolm X.
Yeah, same black man.
So they always, because they know, as you said, the mindset, they know we can convince this black person.
Yeah,
to take the other
guy.
person down.
He's a bad guy.
Take him down.
And then show him and say he's done this, he's done that.
Wow.
I think here is the advice to as many people of color watching this. No great person is perfect. No great person. All the leaders, even in our history books, there were people that had issues with them. Right? Whether they are religious leaders, whether they were prophets in the Quran or in the Bible, people had issues with them.
Yes.
People didn't agree with them.
Exactly.
Right? But see what their movement has turned to today.
Yes.
So we have to be okay with the fact that maybe this guy is not that perfect, but there's still something to learn.
To learn from them. Yeah.
There's still something to pick. We must not pull down one to rise. Because when we then pull down one, all the foundation that were right in that person,
we've destroyed
we've lost it in the name of we're trying to build something new.
Something.
Only to get that something new and now realize that we lost a foundation.
Wow.
In the other one we pulled down.
Yeah. Doctor, I've watched a lot of your content and I've realized there are three things that are maybe more, but three important things that I know you don't joke with.
Yeah.
Your business, your family, and faith. These three things I think are important in anyone that wants to build and want to succeed.
Yeah.
And a lot of wealthy people, in one way or the other, they either failed in two, good in one, or failed in one, good in two. I don't know, your personal life, which one you're succeeding, but from what I see from afar, I think you're doing the three well. How are you able to manage your faith, family, and still grow your business?
So I would say that, funny enough, the three are work in progress. And my argument is that we must see these three as not a destination but a journey.
Yeah.
Your family life is a journey. It's a journey. The day you take your spouse for granted is the day you lose that spouse. The real crime is not that you are weak or you are not perfect. The real crime is taking your spouse for granted. The same thing with your business, right? The day you become complacent and say we have arrived, you will just be shocked that you become the former rich person, right? former millionaire, former leading real estate mogul, former, right? And the same thing with faith, right? The work of faith it's a journey, it's not a destination. Your righteousness yesterday doesn't count for today. You have to keep working. And in reality, none of us is perfect. So it's working every day and say, God, help me to be better. And I think the only time we can say a person has failed in these three things is the day they take it for granted or become negligent or think they've arrived. That's when they will start failing.
For a lot of people that are watching us, and maybe I would say regular people that are not in the top 1% or top 10% like you, they always think to get to that position, to get to, real financial freedom, you need to give something up. Do you have to give anything up in your personal life to reach where you are today? And when I say do you have to give anything up, I'm not talking about the effort of you working hard.
Yeah.
But is there anything that you eventually start losing? Friendship, family connection?
You have to. You have to. And I'm happy you asked. These your questions are good. I love your questions. I must say clearly that again is the problem in the messaging we've preached so far. We convince people that they can get to the top without consequences. We convince people that they can become successful without sacrifices. There is no star without a scar. Right? There is no star without a scar. Anytime you see a general with a star, 4-star general, 5-star general, let them off their shirt.
It must have been short or
Former president of Nigeria, sometimes I'm with him. Those are some of the conversations.
Yeah, Obasanjo.
Right,
Right?
yeah.
I actually wanted to ask when you
Yes.
said that now, because I remember one of his talks. He said that.
And his argument is that sometimes when some of you are talking, you've not collect bullet for this Nigeria.
Yes.
You see us as we mess Nigeria up, but you didn't even sacrifice for the same Nigeria like we have.
That's true.
Right? So people think that they can be, glory without a story. That's not how it works. There has to be a sacrifice. And the sacrifice, I'm not saying diabolic things you do. I'm just saying you have to, sometimes, I work average of 16 hours a day. Averagely. My body is now, so I force my body, even when I've overworked, to do 5 hours, 6 hours sleep. My natural body, 4 hours, 30 minutes is awake after sleeping. 5 hours awake. Right? Because I've had a long trip here to Canada, I forced my body to do 6 hours today.
Wow.
Forced. My body has just been used to it.
Yeah.
Right? So that is a sacrifice. That's a sacrifice. The sacrifice of people hating you and you don't even know why they do so. The sacrifice of people you reading about you and if they didn't mention your name, when you start reading, you say, this guy is a bad guy, only to not see that it's your name there.
Are they describing someone else?
Exactly. Like, are they referring to me, really? So there is a lot that will happen in the course of rising to the top. And I think the problem is that many people are not prepared for that. Many people expect that, I can just become great and then nobody will hate me. My name I will not be called that. I've shared this story before of how I was doing real estate business in a very conservative way. And a gentleman came to my office just like an angel. I said, Dr. Stephen, I know your capacity. This is not your capacity. The way you are going with this, your real estate business, is not yours. He said, I can tell you 2-3 people who came after you who are 10 times bigger. I said, what is the problem? Because I just don't know why. And I remember saying to him, I said, me, I came from a conservative background. A good name is better than silver and gold. I just don't want all these people call you out. Because in those days, somebody will come to our office and then make a deposit of $200 for land. And then a week later, we say he wants refund. Then you'll be like, wait, we are not. Then he goes to all the WhatsApp groups and say, Silver Akintayo has scammed me $200 now. And so my office, all of us are not calling back. So take your money, take your money. You see, I knew it. When I call your name, so I said, I don't want this kind of. So he then asked me a question. He said, give me one billionaire in Nigeria and outside of Nigeria that is billionaire today
without going through that,
without being accused of scam or fraud or one thing or the other. I said, give me one. Because you want to be great. You want to build a great empire. But you don't want the scar that comes with it. It's like that day was as if a veil was removed from her. Because I just say, but it's true. Right? Is it Dangote?
Yes.
Is it? These guys are fighters. We still saw him and NNPC going at each other.
Yes.
Court cases here and there, we sue media. I mean, Elon Musk.
Of course, he went through his own, right?
His own is almost every day. Right? So it just dawned on me that You want to be like these people, but you don't want to have their scar.
Yes.
And that day, I vow. I said, you know what? We're ready.
You're ready for the sky.
We're
You're ready
ready.
for the war now.
Whoever wants to drag me, let them drag me. It's free marketing. Right?
That's another thing.
After they are done with their dragging, somebody will still have to now Google me and just say, this guy, but it's this now. But it doesn't look like what that guy said. And I have a new customer.
Doctor, I want us to go back home now with our conversation. Nigerian, the political situation in Nigeria. Don't worry, in my podcast I can say anything. That's why I love podcasts. I want to look back to what happened, I think 2 years ago now, that the Nigerian people or the elite people decided to change the leadership of the country. You publicly supported Peter Obi, who unfortunately I can't vote from here. I supported him and wish I could vote. Do you still think Peter Obi is the right person to lead the country, even with the situation today?
My answer will be a yes and no.
Okay.
Right. A yes, because when you look at some of their approach, you wonder if you had a younger person,
Okay,
right, who could visit many of these states. By the way, I made it clear then that no matter who becomes president, Buhari has messed things up.
yes, it's going to be tough.
It's going to be tough, and I made it very clear.
Yeah.
So the only difference was that a person who is younger, stronger, will be able to communicate better. I mean, see the media interview the President Tinubu granted. Even some of the media guys who don't like him were still saying we're impressed. Like, they didn't ask us to drop any question. The man seems to be mentally sound.
Okay.
You see my point? But you can't doubt the fact that the man is not that young anymore.
He's not.
Okay? And just an empathy. A Peter Obi will have been a more empathetic president.
Okay.
Right? He will visit where there are challenges. And Nigerians they are not asking for too much. Nigerians that I know, they're not asking for too much. Right? Sometimes in business, I remember talking to some of our MDs. They would reach out to me. So, some of our clients are not happy this way. I say, you, the MD, call the client. Call them. They're not asking. And they will be shocked. They say, sir, I've been able to resolve. I said, didn't I tell you? You were sending your staff to be called them. You call and say, I'm the MD of this company. I'm aware this happened. I apologize. This is what I'm doing towards it. And you'll be shocked how many of these will be reasonable. Now, will there be 1 or 2, 0.50
people that will
1,
still be upset?
who will say, yeah, there will be. But compared to majority, you will resolve the issue. However, the no part of it is that there are some brutal decisions President Tinubu has made.
Yeah.
To be honest, only him can make it. Right? It takes you seeing it all. Right? And being really, really a master politician.
Okay.
Right? That you are not scared of
The consequences
the
of the decision.
cabals, the forces, the AK owners of Nigeria. Right? And that you are almost as powerful as they are as well. Okay? I see people telling me, Northern Nigeria is going to gang up against Tinubu. And I just smile. I said, are you people still underrating this guy? Are you people still underrating this guy? Okay? Because you will be shocked. Right? So there are some movies made. And I think some of those moves, I was born in the northern part of Nigeria. And I can tell you that the most wicked elite in Nigeria are northern elites. The most wicked, vicious, callous elites. And they've used religion to tie the people down. Used the ulamas in the north. So those ones will tell them, just be contented.
Just accept what Allah gives
Just
you.
accept what Allah gives you. Just be contented. So you will see that, unlike in the south, where people even resent rich people a bit in the south, in the north,
They worship them.
they worship you as a rich man. Just give them the handouts. Just give them the peanuts. So they have so brainwashed the people, and yet the place is backward. Okay. And so I still believe strongly that Tinubu will do a lot, particularly in the northern Nigeria.
Okay.
Right? It will do a lot. But I just think he needs to talk more to the people.
Okay.
He needs to show empathy. And I think, honestly, as far as I'm concerned, he needs to create an open door for younger entrepreneurs.
Okay.
Right? I see the way he carries your Dangotes, your Bua, your Tony, right? He needs to look for a category of entrepreneurs in their 20s, in their 30s,
Okay.
that he will start
really passionate about building something.
Yes, that he will start carrying along to those countries he visits and say, this guy's business may be worth $1 million, but it can become $1 billion. This guy's business is worth $500,000. This guy's business is worth $2 million. This guy's business is worth $5 million, but want to grow it. And begin to pull those younger people, right? There is more that is required, right? He needs to go deep down a bit more. A lot of these other guys, I know they're his friends. They've known each other over the years, and thank God for them. And I respect all of them. But he needs to pick up a whole new generation
and preach them
of younger entrepreneur and back them.
I know a lot of people that might listen to this, they might say, are you sure Tinubu is doing something? I personally think he is I think he could do more from my own perspective.
Definitely can do more.
But I don't think he's not doing anything. Like you said, some decisions that he make are tough decisions.
Yeah.
But I still hear from a lot of people, I was back home last year, and both in Nigeria, both online, I still hear people still thinking we've missed the opportunity of selecting the right leader by not having
Peter
Obi. Do you agree to that statement that Nigeria have missed the right opportunity for our own generation?
I mean, I'm a person of faith, right? So I always end up looking at things from faith perspective when it doesn't work my way. I wanted Peter Obi to win, but at some point I then looked at it from the case of Saul and David, right? Samuel was the prophet in Israel. Then we had Saul becoming king before David. Sometimes you need some type of people. Okay, they may not be perfect. It's just like the Nigerian democracy. If Obasanjo was not the president, as at the time he was president, military would be in power by now.
I agree with that. I completely agree.
So you needed a former military person who knew the antics of military to cut down. Yes. And so Obasanjo knew all the coup plotters, retire all of them. He knew all the people who can become, and it's a similar thing Tinubu has done. Some of the retired generals who had been feeding fat of terrorism in Nigeria, he just retired all of them. Right? So there are certain decisions that a Peter Obi could have been blackmailed.
Okay.
He will be blackmailed with religion. I mean, there's some move Tinubu has made that northern Nigeria couldn't blackmail him. Because he's arguing, I'm a Muslim. My advice is even Muslim. So what else do you say, okay, because I'm a Christian, I have an agenda against Islam in the north, I'm a Muslim. So he's been able to use that. Right? So sometimes I tell people, I say, look, God has his way where you may say the person is a bad guy. The person may not be perfect, but he needs the person to clean some things before some good guys come in.
Okay, I from that perspective,
yeah,
I think
that's the way that's the only rationale. That's the only rationale. Because again, we all believe in God, and we believe that we did our best. A lot of Nigerians did their best to make sure that there was a change, and I can only just praise Nigerians for how bold they were. And how they wanted. I mean, I saw higher level of patriotism. People didn't care about religion. People didn't care about. I mean, I'm a Yoruba man. I'm from the same place as Tinubu. In fact, there's been more to my interest. I was telling people, I said, there's more to my interest
And you
with
publicly
Tinubu
supported
becoming president then,
Obi.
because all the people there have either know them or have connected with them. A lot of the guys are friends, so it's in my interest. If I want opportunities, even in the presidency today, is like that, right? So, and people think sometimes when you confront people, it means you don't have relationship with them. Don't get it twisted, right? But sometimes you let your conscience, you let your, to lead, those things. So we all came out and rallied around a candidate that out of sentiment, we just believe he had a higher chance, and we didn't win. I think my only request for Tinubu is he should prove me wrong in the next 1 year.
1 year.
Right?
He's been here for
He should-
over 2 years now. I would
2
say.
years now.
So let's hope maybe it would prove.
At least I'm giving 1 more year.
Okay.
Right, and let him. I want
Want
him
a better
to prove me-
Nigeria.
Yeah,
We all
him
want
to-
a better
I
Nigeria.
mean, he's there. We want him to succeed. I want the president to succeed. I've said it even on media.
Yeah, I
that
see a lot
when
of
it
your
comes-
content as well.
When it comes to real estate, if he needs my help, I am more than ready to help. I've said it on many platforms. Give me Sambisa Forest and give me C of O. Right? And watch if I won't turn that place to Dubai in the next 20 to 30 years.
I agree.
We can do it.
Of course.
We can do
We
it.
have the manpower, we have the finance, we have the knowledge to change that country to what could even be better than Dubai or anything. I want to talk a little bit about, because I know we've been here for almost probably going to 1 hour now, I would say. As I told you at the beginning of our conversation, I'm planning to move some part of my business to Dubai. I've also lived there for about 7 years. But I want to ask about hiring. Every organization, every business leader I've been able to talk to, hiring is one big part of their business, right? And some of them have their own strategy, they have their own culture. What do you look for when your organization is really huge, but back home, but in all those 3 countries, maybe we might have part of your organization in Canada as well. If you are not scared of our cold weather. But I want to know, what do you look for in talent, and how do you retain talent? Because that's another thing, you might be able to attract them. What do you do? Do you have a culture in your organization that they have to follow, or do you follow your instinct and say, I feel like this person might do well? How do you recruit talents?
Good question. For me, number one is hunger. A lot of people are hungry. I mean, you must. There must be people who believe there's more to be done. They are hungry for success. They want to prove something with their life, with their name. They want their name to count.
Okay.
I always look for that element in recruiting people. People who just want their name to count. They want to show that we are behind something great. The next is discipline, right? Discipline is the strength of an army. It makes a little team informidable, right? When you have a little, when a little team is disciplined, they look like they are larger.
They look stronger.
They look stronger, and they really are stronger. So I love people who are disciplined. We have a lot of culture. I mean, with our organization, we hire for culture and we train for skill. Right? So we are always, even to start with, do we have people, is this applicant, does he have our kind of culture? Is he teachable? Is he hungry? Is he disciplined? So I want to see that. I don't really go for skill at the beginning. We hire for culture, we train for skill.
Right? I like that analogy.
Yeah. So when you come in, we want you to be good. We're ready to train you. We spend so much. In fact, one of our consultants said he works with banks that he's not seen any bank in Nigeria that spend as much as we spend on training. We're big on trainings, seminars, conferences, So we're big on that. But culture, because culture will swallow strategy for lunch. Any day, anytime. So you must be sure that these are people who keep to time.
Okay.
They have integrity, right? They, these little things, they are soft skills, but they are way, way more important.
Do you think these skills, these things you mentioned now, is what prepares a leader that build someone for them to become a leader?
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
being hungry and everything.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm here because I'm hungry. When I said to you, we're about starting, I mean it. I mean, in my mind,
You're not done anything yet.
we've not even thought 10% of where
Wow.
we're going. Right? So, because I'm a hungry person, I'm really hungry. I'm hungry for success. If I show you my vision board, you won't believe it. I have a 50-year goal plan. Very audacious. Very ambitious. So, I'm a very hungry person, and I think any leader that is not hungry will not go far.
Will not go
Cannot
far.
lead people far. You need people who are hungry.
So when you bring this talent in and you realize that what you think you saw in them is different from the reality, how long does it take you to say, you know what, you have to pass?
There are two formula here.
Okay.
Hire fast, fire fast. Hire slow, fire fast. Either way, firing fast must be there. Once they are the wrong cultural fit. I can endure skill. I'll send you for training. I will give you some time to build the skill.
And what your
But I can't endure wrong culture.
culture. Dr. Stephen, we've been here for almost 1 hour. I want to give you the last question. And you've traveled the world. You've done a lot of things. People know your name, even for people that want to see your name in a bad way. I personally, a lot of people believe you've done a lot for yourself, for your business, for your family, for Nigeria, for a lot of things. But I was just wondering if you, Dr. Stephen Akintayo, want to describe Dr. Stephen Akintayo in 3 words, how will you describe it?
That's tough.
I know. I just want to put you on the spot. We've been doing it easy. We've been smiling. So let me give you this. How will you describe yourself in 3 words?
Lover of God, lover of humanity, hungry man.
Thank you so much. Thank you.